Good morning, viewers from across the globe. Today is Monday, June 22nd. Reactions are trailing Governor Biodun Oyebanji's landslide re-election in Ekiti State, sweeping all 16 local government areas with over 319,000 votes. But election observers, Yiga Africa, say integrity gaps persist with widespread vote buying and BVAS malfunctions, raising questions about the credibility of voter choice. And in Accra, Ghana, a dramatic reenactment of the slave trade at the historic Osu Castle is going viral as Ghana hosts a conference on repatriatory justice. Let's dive right in. I am OjyOkpe, and this is what's trending. Now, before we dive deeper, let's see what you're talking about right now. We've been tracking conversations on X, Facebook, our YouTube live feed, and of course, Leke. And 3 stories are dominating your timelines this morning. Trending at number 1, Oyo State Police debunk viral claims that Sunday Igboho personally rescued 2 residents abducted in Igboho town. The police call it false, unfounded, and misleading. But the danger is real. Misinformation can actively undermine genuine rescue operations. Social media is reacting. And trending at number 2, grief and outrage in Ilobu, Osun State, as a 16-year-old boy is shot dead in broad daylight in the presence of police who could not prevent it, with the boy's father naming an alleged AMBO thug as the killer. And trending at number 3, an entrepreneur in Lagos is calling out what she describes as a landlord from hell after her rent in Banana Island was increased by over 390% and her electricity shut off for 72 hours over non-payment. Nigerians are sharing similar stories online. So what exactly does Lagos State's rent control law say about situations like this? And why isn't it protecting tenants? We'll get to that. Now, here is where you come in. Join the conversation. Use the hashtag What's Trending with OjyOkpe. A comment on our live feed. And of course, Leke. Tell me, which of these stories matters most to you? Because for the next hour, we're going into everything that has Nigeria and the rest of the world buzzing. But first, Governor Biodun Oyebanji is not just celebrating re-election in Ekiti State. He's rubbing it in his critics' faces, sweeping all 16 local government areas with over 319,000 votes, and telling critics there are no polling units on social media. Here is a recap.
Oyebanji Biodun Oyebanji of APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
In the history of this state, this is the first time that all former governors will line up behind a political party, behind a candidate. It has never happened. This is the first time that we run an election campaign for more than 3 months and no single incident of violence. There's a saying that a farmer who has diligently tilled the ground do nothing to fear the day of harvest. Characters that have not done anything, they are busy on the social media. There are no polling units on the social media. And yesterday, and I told him that I will not appear on your program. I will speak yesterday, and you have spoken. And that's my answer to all the shenanigans on the social media. You know, so if you have done well, people will vote for you. But if you don't have anything to say other than to be going to media houses to grant interviews, telling lies against the government, still on the social media, we're whipping up sentiments. Yesterday was their day of reckoning. So I don't...
Well, this wasn't just a victory speech. It was a warning shot. Oyebanji's message is simple. Performance wins elections. Noise does not. And his win came with serious institutional backing, with APC governors across the country rallying behind his campaign. But the reports of vote buying and BVAS technical glitches recorded in some polling units, particularly affecting elderly voters, the conversation around his election is far from over. Was this a genuine mandate built on performance? Ekiti voters have spoken. The question is whether everyone is satisfied with what they heard. Good morning, Dr. Abati. How was your weekend?
Good morning.
Great. Good morning, our president.
Good morning.
You have to run for election.
I have to, yes.
You're doing it
and
right.
You guys
and I
vote
support
for me.
you
Thank
100%.
you so much. Thank
I'll be your ADC. Good morning, Rufi on fire. How are you this morning?
ADC.
Fantastic. Yes, why
Is
not?
that a legacy position?
No, don't worry. I can be a servant for once. Why not?
You didn't get the joke.
Okay, wait. I think I do. Well, all right. All right. Well, you know what? And celebrations erupted across APC ranks after Biodun Oyebanji was declared the winner of the Ekiti governorship election. A video of APC governors and stakeholders singing and celebrating in full agbada, flags and all, made the rounds on social media over the weekend. Let's take a look. I would like to just take some more reactions trailing this Ekiti governorship election before I come to you guys in the studio here. Well, a photograph from the Ekiti governorship election is going viral and raising serious questions about INEC's impartiality. Photos circulating widely on social media show Oyo State APC chairman Jarrett, Tenebe, a prominent partisan figure wearing an INEC accredited observer vest during Saturday's election, with Nigerians asking how the chairman of a ruling party chapter was accredited as an independent election observer in an election his party won in all 16 local government areas. Now, the question is out there, and it has, generated significant reactions online. INEC guidelines require all accredited observers to be non-partisan and strictly impartial. At the time of this report, neither Tenebe nor INEC has officially responded. And I'll take some reactions before I come to you, Dr. Abati. This is from Samson, who wrote, wait, the Edo APC chairman as an INEC accredited observer in Ekiti? That's wild. Party chairman equals partisan by definition. So observer tag doesn't sit right with a lot of people. No wonder Nigerians are in shock. Perception of bias alone can damage trust in the process, even if he did nothing wrong. INEC needs to explain the accreditation criteria ASAP. Another ex-user wrote, it's deeply concerning to see reports of such blatant irregularities. Vote buying and accreditation issues undermine the very foundation of our democracy. When partisan figures appear as supposed neutral observers, it only erodes public trust further. INEC must address this. Well, Prince wrote, when did being an accredited election observer become a crime because he belongs to a political party? Every party is expected to have their own observers too, and I'm quite certain they all did. Why are you lamenting like they handed him the electoral process to carry out? And this is the conversation online. I mean, I guess, let's just share this conversation first before I come to you, Dr. Abati, because I'd like for you to explain, this particular part. Aya, I'd like for you to just, sum up the, conversation around, Oyebanji winning and all of the videos that we had seen circulating on social media in the lead up, of course, to the main election.
Yeah. So there are many angles to this. Well, let me talk about the statement that caught my attention when you were speaking and when the governor was speaking was performance, not noise. Where they talk about elections not being won on social media. But Oji, the truth is that in Nigeria, votes, unfortunately, the election that we hold now is not won by performance nor noise. In fact, it is won by certain peculiarities. And I say this because the Nigerian people are not given the opportunity many times to actually vote based on performance. If you ask a number of people who the candidates in an election are, some people don't even know. They're just there to vote according to what the money given to them asks them to vote. And this is what we saw, unfortunately, the news coming out from Ekiti State, whereby there was large incidents of voter buying. And so this means that people are voting based on the poverty of their minds or poverty of their pockets. So these are some of the challenges. Another thing about performance is that there was also voter apathy. Less than 40% of registered voters came out to cast their ballot. It means that a small minority of the people who bothered to show up were the ones who selected or elected who would eventually become their leader. So it wasn't, that's not performance winning. That is just, taking advantage of the fact that people did not bother coming out to vote because they did not, in some instances, trust the process. Another thing is weak institutions. When we talk about the process of elections, where we saw, and Dr. Bati would explain clearly, break it down for us with regards to people from a political party going to be observers. We heard about ballots that were already thumb printed before the day. We heard about areas where slips were used instead of PVCs, and that was allowed to fly. Then we heard of situations whereby there was obvious voter buying, and the institution that was responsible for arrest, prosecution, EFCC, ICPC did nothing. So weak institutions as well are some of the things that categorize our elections. And so when we talk about how elections are won in Nigeria, Nigeria is a very peculiar place. I don't want to put a downer on Governor Oyebanji's win. He won. He's been declared as winner. Yes. He won with a landslide. But what I'm saying is that the day we begin to prosecute elections properly in Nigeria, then we can get a true sense of whether or not this is the people's mandate or just taking advantage of the weakness of our elections so far. And that's why we keep talking about INEC, doing right by the people, the other institutions, the judiciary, the law, so that when a winner emerges, there's legitimacy. You are proud of the fact that the people have spoken out loudly, and are not here and there analyzing whether or not the people voted for you because money was paid or people voted for you because nobody was there. You would know that I won fair and square because the people wanted me to be their leader. That's what we're calling for.
I actually do like that point. But one thing I noticed over the weekend, there was no violence. I don't think there was any major...
Just isolated incidents.
Yes, isolated.
Yes.
It wasn't major.
Yes.
So that at least I'll give to the Ekiti, INEC observers and all of the people that had come out there to conduct the Ekiti elections. He surely had serious institutional backing for this election. So at this moment, we'll say congratulations are in order for the governor of Ekiti State. Speaking about violence, Dr. Abati, all in politics, I'd like to tie this in so you can all discuss that together. In Osun State, there's grief and outrage in Ilobu after a 16-year-old boy was shot dead in broad daylight on Sunday afternoon, and footage obtained by Arise News shows the incident happened in the presence of policemen who could not prevent it. In the video, the father of the deceased speaks through unimaginable pain, naming the killing as the work of a man identified as Seyi, an alleged thug linked to AMBO, the Osun APC governorship candidate, who he says arrived at the scene in the company of 7 other men in vehicles branded with the AMBO campaign colors. Let's take a look. This is heartbreaking. This killing did not happen in isolation. It comes just 2 days after sporadic gun attacks tore through Osogbo on Friday night, and after armed men stormed the home of the state NURTW chairman, an attack in which his wife and children were taken. Osun State is heading into one of the most consequential governorship elections in years. And the question now being asked is, who is protecting the people of Osun State? And who is arming the people, terrorizing them? A father has lost his son. A community is grieving, yet there are no answers. Well, Arise News has reached out to the AMBO campaign and the Osun Police Command for comment and response to these allegations. Dr. Bati, over to you, please.
Okay, first, let's condemn violence in politics, and Osun State in particular, because we've described the elections in Ekiti and the by-elections on Saturday as a litmus test for INEC. The next major election that INEC is going to conduct will be in Osun State, I think on Saturday, August the 2nd or August the 8th, but in the first week of August. And now, ahead of that general election, gubernatorial election in Osun State, there have been reports of thuggery in that state. When the Governor Adeleke, when he flagged off his campaign, one of his major concerns is about the conduct of the police in Osun State, and he was calling on the Inspector General of Police to call his men to order. Although that was with regard to local councils, protection of local councils, but the general point is that in Osun State, ahead of the election, there have been, reports, regular reports of thuggery, pointing to some kind of collusion between policemen and certain political figures. In the case of this young man, whose life has been cut short at the prime of his life, at a very young age, they were saying AMBO. AMBO is the candidate of the APC. Now, if they don't mention AMBO, sometimes they will say, oh, it's Minister Oyetola that is using federal might to control politics in Osun State. Whoever is guilty, I think the authorities should investigate.
Yes. The
Inspector General of Police, again, is called upon to call his men to order. After all, he had promised before now that the policemen involved in this electoral process will eschew thuggery and promote only the ideals of professionalism. So thugs cannot be going up and down in Osun State or anywhere else, shooting at will and killing people. Look at the pain that father was expressing. Now, I mean, nobody's blood should be shed. Nobody's blood is what the ambition of any politician, whether in Osun State or elsewhere. By contrast, Ekiti State was generally adjudged peaceful before the election, yes, and also during the election. But if you check the reports from the various observer groups, Movement for Credible Elections, Yaga Africa, and others, they have indicated that INEC still has a lot to worry about. In terms of general administration, yes, the officials are ready, but BVAS failed, yes, particularly with regard to elderly women, who incidentally were the majority of the persons that came out to vote. 2, inconsistency in terms of number of PVCs collected and number of registered voters. 1 million, we had 1 million, 1.229 million before the election. Then on election day, we had 988. INEC cannot keep its own records.
Those are the
There are also lessons to be learned in terms of quality assurance. They also have to look at that area of it, because more elections will come and the major test will come in 2027. As for Jarrett Tenebe, the APC chairman, yes, who was adorned in INEC accredited uniform, he probably thinks that the purpose was for fashion. But the idea of having election observers is that many of these observers, basically, whether local or international, they are supposed to be non-partisan, neutral, unbiased observers. And that is why many of them are drawn from non-governmental organizations. Yeah. But Jarrett Tenebe is an openly partisan person, okay, wearing INEC uniform. That is the source of the controversy.
Yes.
And so INEC owes Nigerians an explanation. How did that INEC jacket get to Jarrett Tenebe?
Those are the questions.
Who accredited him as an observer? Under what circumstances did he become an election observer? Is it the case that INEC also gave his jackets to electoral agents? Because Jarrett Tenebe may have gone there as an agent, as a polling agent. Do they also wear uniform? Because they are not observers. The observers they will wear uniforms of whether Yaga Africa or Enough is Enough or whatever group that they belong to. And that's why we need that clarification. And Jarrett Tenebe himself should also speak up.
Yes, we're asking.
What is he looking for in Osun Ekiti election? Is he there as a party official and he just decided that he would like to identify with INEC? These are the kind of things that INEC should watch out for going forward.
Absolutely.
Because even when there is no proof, or there could be no proof that Jarrett Tenebe was directly involved in electoral processes, either in counting votes or mobilizing voters and all that. That jacket alone is enough for people to raise questions and controversialize him. He being an APC chairman of a party that won the election with as much as 319 votes plus.
Right. All right. Thank you for that summary, and thank you for clarifying that, because I actually thought that it was okay for him to be out there. But we need answers from INEC at this point. And of course, going to the Osun story, a young boy has died. A 16-year-old boy has died. This is the most alarming story coming out of these elections at this moment. We're waiting to hear from the Osun State Police Command as to why.
Osun State matter. They said the name of the thug is Seyi Tamfiani.
Yes.
Okay, this Seyi Tamfiani, who does not want other people to have. Tamfiani means who wants us to.
Is that what it means? Okay, no, I mean horrible.
It's almost
complete. Now we have a name. We have a name, Said, and we have also somebody being pointed at, AMBO, the AMBO guy from
APC gubernatorial candidate.
All right. Now we need to hear from the Osun State Police Command as to the reason why this occurred, allegedly, in their presence. Now to Oyo State, tension is intensifying as Fulani social cultural group, the Concerned Fulani People of Nigeria, has called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Governor Seyi Makinde, and other Southwest governors to call activist Sunday Igboho to order following his viral 2-hour ultimatum over the weekend to Fulani community leaders following recent kidnappings in Igboho town. Well, let's take a look at that video before we come back for a discussion.
Obìnrin yẹn àtọmọ ẹ̀ àtàbúrò ẹ̀ tó lọ kámọ́lé lóru tó gbé yẹn mo fi wákàtí méjì kan lọ gbé wọn wá tí a bá rí wọn láàrin wákàtí méjì tí wọn ká kọlu ra wọn èmi ọ̀fẹ́ wọn bí wọ́n bá gbé wọn lọ I don't want to know.
All right, the group in a statement signed by its convener insisted that criminals should be treated as individuals, not used to profile an entire ethnic group, warning against ethnic profiling while pointing out that Fulani settlements in Oyo State have also been attacked, leaving innocent residents dead and displaced. Now, the reactions online are fiercely divided. Many Yoruba users say Igboho is filling a security vacuum the government has failed to fill, while others warn his approach risks deepening ethnic tensions in an already fractured country. Following the comments made by the Concerned Fulani People of Nigeria, the Oyo State Police Command over the weekend dismissed reports that Sunday Igboho secured the release of 2 abducted family members from OjyOkpe community after videos of residents jubilating at the news spread rapidly across social media. Well, the Oyo State Police Command issued a firm denial, describing the circulated video as false, unfounded, and misleading, confirming that intelligence-driven rescue operations are still ongoing, and warning that the spread of unverified information at this critical time could undermine real rescue efforts on the ground. The victims remain in the kidnappers' den, and the police are urging the public to rely on official communication channels before sharing any information. I wanted to highlight this story because obviously we did see that, Sunday Igboho allegedly or reportedly had said that he released, I believe 2 kidnapped victims in that town. And now the police has come out to debunk his conversation. I think you saw that ex-user saying, why is it that the police are concerned about the headlines instead of actually working hand in hand with Igboho to rescue these victims? What are your thoughts on that?
What I heard was that Igboho had threatened that if they don't release them in 2 hours, I'm not sure he said he released them.
No, there were videos circulating online saying that, I'll show you that we had the videos, just that video of the rescue efforts. The comments of saying Sunday Igboho had rescued 2.
So those are the people saying it. I'm not sure it's Sunday Igboho that said that. But what I'd just like to bring out is, yes, the police can easily be quick to say, they should stop fake news, that people are still there in incarceration. Then the question is, why have you not brought them out? Why have you not brought them out? See, the reason why people like Sunday Igboho are making traction is because of the failures of the police and the security authorities. Just like another story that I saw in the papers this morning as regards some sources, which in fact was quoted as some sources said, security forces has closed down on the kids in Oyo and the likes and all of that. Why have they not brought them out? That's the question. The police is there to be able to ensure that lives and properties are protected. Section 14, Section 2B in the Constitution says it clearly. That's the basic function of the police. When you have police officers over 30-something days, and you have people in kidnappers them over 30-something days, then it's very sad. In fact, we are talking about the Oyo situation. I don't think we are talking about the Borno kids enough. Because kids too were kidnapped in Borno around that time. So why is that we have all of these people in kidnappers dead? But the government is saying that they want to take extra 500 billion from FAC allocation to be able to fight insecurity. But they've not been able to release the ones in there. And the question we are asking is, why is there so much insecurity around the elections? Look at that man. I feel for that father. Father's Day was yesterday. A man will have to bury his child. But you see, the sad reality is that nothing will be done as long as the man or whoever is the allegations is there that has something to do with politicians. Nothing will be done. You will never get to the root of the matter. Before you know it now, they will make the case convoluted. And that's the Nigeria. You were asking me the other day, I think some minutes ago while we were off the air, that why is that we can't just have accountability? See, it should be this country we are looking at, UK. I'm not saying they are perfect. Here, Starmer resigned, we didn't hear anything. If it's here now, they will have tribal sentiment and everything sentiment. They will, in fact, the people that are chopping from the guy in government will tell you that you dare not resign. We'll kill you if you resign. A man resigned now, was talking about, I want to spend time with my family. Here, they're not they resign when they do bad. They know they resign when they can't stop insecurity. So that's the kind of country we live in. So is it today you've been hearing crises and killings and shootings in, what's it called, in Osun? Just because Adeleke does not align with the center. That's just, it's another party. The center is different. If Adeleke was in the center party, the APC, the case will be different. And please, I want to sound a note of warning. We remember what happened the first time to Adeleke, where the man was already winning the election. All of a sudden, they declared inconclusive and the election results did somehow. We remember that case. Please, hope we will not have inconclusive this time. Because we all know the man is popular. All of a sudden, there's so much chaos. They fought the man first over local government issues. The same people that were champion of local government, they started to do aberration with local government funds. Hope they are going to allow the man breathe because we are seeing all of this insecurity and it's linked to political thuggery. Hope they will allow the man breathe. Hope we will not hear inconclusive again because remember the day and era of inconclusive. Just because people want to win election. So you can see the high-handedness. People were talking about somebody wearing INEC. Does as INEC be able to answer integrity questions at first about Emeka Ike's, what's it called? Data. Has anybody even taken INEC to court? INEC just say, we said there's an internal glitch. Oh, we are not going to have major internal glitch. So you are saying somebody is wearing INEC jacket. Before you know, they will come out now and say it's AI. They say they will come out and say it's doctored reports. Before you know, they will gaslight you in this country. All right. So, until we get a response from INEC or we hear a response for the party dramatic person, this politics we are playing today is cruise. I will tell it to you.
All right.
Meanwhile,
Okay, now
the rivalry between the Oyo State Police Command and Igboho, I think it doesn't make sense. Because in various statements, the federal government of Nigeria and the security chiefs, they've always called for collaboration. They've always said, see something, say something. So I don't think there should be rivalry. If Igboho is going to, work hand in hand with them, what is important is the result.
Yes.
Now they are talking about Igboho. Nobody is talking about the people that were rescued.
Yes.
And then about the coincidence. Igboho gave ultimatum, 2 hours. And then within 2 hours, the persons who were kidnapped had been released.
It appeared that
by what alchemy that happened,
yes.
I think that coincidence is instructive.
Right. Yes.
The police should focus more on serious work rather than that rivalry with non-state actors.
Once they mention Igboho like this, the Oyo State Police Command will be just again.
Sense.
You remember the case? You remember the case of
no
the Adelabu kids, where Igboho played a role. But that was how the man was denied. Didn't they write report and say, no, he didn't do anything at Ribasi? But those that know, they know that Igboho played a role in the case of the release of those Adelabu kids. Right. But police, Igboho.
No, the families that are affected don't care. All they want is to see their children, their family members back. All these back and forth is very unnecessary.
All right, we do applaud Igboho's efforts right now. And, we're all calling for all the kidnapped victims in Oyo State and across Nigerians to be brought back home safe and alive. Now to more security stories. Harrowing new details are emerging about the final moments of the late Major General Rabi Abubakar, as sources who spoke to his wife, Hajia Amina, while she was receiving treatment at the Federal Medical Center in Katsina, have revealed a devastating account of what the couple endured in captivity. The sources say Hajia Amina told them her husband died in her arms in the forest, and that contrary to the Katsina State government's account, he had no history of diabetes or hypertension, but died from a snake bite. Shortly after the general's death, the bandits became extremely agitated, mounted her on a motorcycle and fled before shooting her in the leg and abandoning her. She was later discovered by a good Samaritan before troops arrived and found her lying in a pool of blood.
So it was not that they rescued her.
No,
these
are the conversations. People will speak. There is eyewitness account, and there are people that have been, involved in this, heinous crimes. They will speak. So, at this moment, I do believe that we have to call the Katsina State government to question why. Why did they release that statement saying that, the man died of diabetes and hypertension? Well, meanwhile, in Kwara State, a viral video of a police officer lamenting that the once busy community of Owa Onire is now completely deserted, with residents having fled in terror. This video is shocking social media. Let's take a look.
See where we do. Nobody did in this town again. The people in this town, all of them, they have run away. Kidnapper don't pursue them from this village. This is my first time to my request. Kidnapper pursue your clone. Somebody to one lumo. Loot it down. Somebody to one lumo. Nobody did town again.
And into this climate of fear, controversial cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi has emerged with a new viral clip questioning why armed groups are labeled bandits when they are open to government dialogue, arguing for negotiation over military force. Let's take a look.
Push them into that terror beyond what they are doing now, because yes, it can get worse. They have shown us their willingness to negotiate. So people that are ready to negotiate, why are you rushing to just declare them bandits so that you can use whatever weapons you want? Before, they used to catch Boko Haram and present them to the authorities in Zamfara. But now they're all terrorists. Secondly, the only door that remains, that is we clergy, to go in and negotiate with them, is closed down permanently.
All right. right. Conversations are divided. Sheikh Gumi's comments here continue to sharply divide Nigerians, with many insisting that those responsible for killing a general in a forest, shooting his wife, and emptying entire communities of their residents must face the full wrath of the law and not a negotiating table. I'd like for you, Ayo, to tie in all stories together. I mean, we saw the video in Kwara State, shocking video. Rufai was saying, thank God it is the police that, you know, recorded this actual footage, and so they won't say it was done.
Let me say that. I mean, that Sheikh Gumi video, even if it's not, you can see his mouth, I'm trying to ascertain, but he has made these kinds of suggestions. You know, at this point, we need to acknowledge the fact that this is a state of war, and you have to be very, very adamant that you want to eliminate any trace of this so-called terrorist bandit, and any sympathizer to bandits ought to be called in for questioning. We saw the other day, we heard people that were prosecuted and sentenced for being accessory to the crime. Those who were whether supplying the bandits with food, the terrorists with food, those who had telephones of the bandits with them. I think those who are also speaking up for these bandits and who seem to be the spokespeople or the mouthpieces of these bandits ought to be called in for questioning. You are talking about families whose lives have been affected in such a way that they might, it would take a lot for them to recover. How do you expect Hajia Amina Abubakar to recover from the experience of having held her husband dying in her arms in a situation that could have been salvaged? How do you explain to their children? And then you have someone who has the audacity to come out and say that, oh, they are coming to do it. No. The Nigerian state must demonstrate the monopoly of power and force in this regard. We are asking now that those who are criminals and are killing people for no just reason, they are not fighting for any cause, there's nothing that they are advocating for, just the fact that they are greedy, they are wicked, and they are inhumane. And they ought to be shown an example by prosecuting them, and where possible, the full wrath of the law on them. And I think a lot of people who are saying have also opined in this favor that we do not need any more mollycoddling, come out, let's talk, let's negotiate. They have not shown good faith, and they have thrown a lot of Nigerians into disarray. Now, talking about Katsina State government, from the very beginning, I recall that when Hajia Abubakar was released, we said that she has a lot to say, because if there's anyone who can give a true account of what actually happened, this is the woman. And I'm glad that she's now finally speaking up. We keep saying about trust deficit and trust the government, so people are saying against. How would they trust you if people cannot trust what you're saying? Why was the Katsina State government in a hurry to release a statement? I understand, okay, trying to manage the situation, it's very sensitive because of the caliber of person involved, but we also owe either not say anything or owe the truth to the people or not say anything at all, because it further erodes the trust of the people with the government agencies and people who are speaking up. What we're now calling for is that these criminals to be fished out, and these criminals to face the full wrath of the law, and that Hajia and her children should please receive psychosocial support. Please. They need to receive some kind of support that's funded by government because of this sad loss. We commiserate with them, we commiserate with the army, members of the armed forces who have lost one of their own as well. But the biggest way we can demonstrate commiseration and seriousness is to ensure that we fish out these killers and that they actually face the full wrath of the law. And then finally, in the choir community, in my mind, I was going to say, if you were you, Oji, would you not run? If the state has shown that they are not able, at least at this point, to secure lives, will you not take matters into your own hands?
That's what a lot of communities are having to go through.
We talk about internally displaced people who have not yet gone back to their settlement. Now we're getting more and more people who are displaced. Where will they go to? What life do they have? Will these people not be enticed into a life of more criminality? It's a cycle. And that is why we keep on, like I echo, every single day. We need to find a solution to this criminality, and it is not through negotiations or rehabilitation or reintegration.
Well said, Ayo. Thank you for that summary. And now to a dramatic family inheritance battle that is unfolding in Lagos. Helen Press-Ajayi, former Miss Nigeria, 1979, and Miss World Representative, alongside her daughter, Tomisin Ajayi, have filed an appeal against the Lagos State High Court judgment on the estate of the late Dr. Tosin Ajayi, a ruling that found Helen was merely a mistress and Tomisin was born out of wedlock. But Helen and her daughter are fighting back, pointing to an existing 2021 consent judgment from a court of coordinate jurisdiction, which they say already recognized Helen as a co-wife of the late doctor. Alongside the first respondent, they argue that the judgment was tendered in evidence, but never given due consideration on Tomisin's legitimacy. The appellants point to a birth certificate and testimony, insisting the first respondent had even acknowledged her as the deceased child during proceedings. They also argue the trial court overstepped its mandate, pronouncing on marital status and even the distribution ratio of the estate, when the only question before it was who should administer it. Well, videos of the late Dr. Ajayi's funeral, in which his widow and Helen Press were seen arguing, has gone viral on social media.
We have done our best. If you are not doing it again, mommy has done it.
Listen to me. I have.
This is Africa.
Well, this is drama unfolding on social media, Dr. Abati. Well, Helen Press has also filed a stay of execution, warning that enforcing the judgment now could render the appeal meaningless. Now, a former beauty queen, once crowned Miss Nigeria before millions, now fighting in open court to prove her own marriage and her daughter's identity. This is what inheritance battles in Nigeria so often become. Family bonds tested in public for the world to watch. The Court of Appeal will now decide whose truth prevails. Dr. Abati, just a quick comment. I'd like to take this Lagos story.
The lesson here is that the deceased person here, that's Dr. Ajayi, died intestate, meaning that he did not have a will. If he had written a will to, determine how his estate will be administered, how it will be shared, and who is entitled or not, this would not have arisen at all. So, this is why, public education is provided about the importance of writing a will. However, the person died intestate. So now, the issue before the court in this particular case is about who is eligible to administer the estate, who is to have access to the letters of administration. And now Synergy Attorneys, I think that's the name of Mrs. Helen Press Ajayi's counsel. That's a law firm handling the matter. They have now gone on appeal. The matter will be determined on appeal. And they are raising specific issues. That it's not the relationship between Helen Press Ajayi and Dr. Ajayi that is at issue. And that in the matter filed by Mrs. Adenike Ajayi, the reference was to Ellen Davis,
right,
using the name of a former husband before a relationship with Dr. Tosin Ajayi. Two, that the child between the two of them was not born out of wedlock. Okay, you don't seem to have time.
No, I've
but however,
that already,
I think that the Court of Appeal will look at equity.
Yes.
Because there are equitable remedies in law. Mrs. Ajayi, Helen Press, had been with Dr. Ajayi for 25 years. Nobody raised any matter when the man was alive. Now it comes to sharing of properties. And now it's a matter.
Yeah.
But the lawyers, they know what to do. They filed a motion of injunction. They served a notice on the motion. They have sworn to an affidavit, asking that the rest should be preserved and all of that.
Yes.
But now that it's before the Court of Appeal would, but I think the convenience will be on the side of equity.
Right. I wish we had more time to discuss this story because there are lessons to be learned in this sort of, conversation. But I guess when we have more details on the story, we'll bring it to our viewers. Now we're under milestones. Today we're celebrating the birthday of the elder statesman, politician, and businessman, Chief Yomi Edu, who celebrated his 80th birthday over the weekend in grand style here in Lagos. Chief Edu previously served as the Minister for Special Duties in former President Olusegun Obasanjo's administration before later transitioning into the private sector, running an oil service company, as well as a foray into real estate. Well-wishers gathered over the weekend to celebrate his life and career, with a number of dignitaries in attendance, including former President Olusegun Obasanjo, former Minister of Information and National Orientation, Lai Mohammed, Chairman and Editor-in-Chief of Arise and This Day Media Group, Prince Nduka Obaigbena, Chairman of Heirs Holdings, Tony Elumelu, former CEO of Access Bank, Aigbode Aig Imokwede, and NDC presidential candidate Peter Obi, among others. Let's take a look.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Congratulations. It was a gathering of dignitaries. Now, from all of us at Arise News, we wish Chief Yomi Edu a very happy 85th birthday. More on the milestones. Today, we're celebrating the governor of Delta State, Sheriff Obowori, who turned 63 on Friday, June 19th. Obowori comes from Osubi, in Okpe local government area. He completed his education at Alegbo Primary School and later obtained his undergraduate degree in political science from Ambrose Ali University in Ekpoma. His journey in politics kicked off in earnest in 1966 when he served as supervisory councillor for Works. By 2003, he was appointed as a special assistant on youth development to the former governor, James Ibori, followed by another role as special advisor on land security to Governor Emmanuel Idwahan. He ran for governor and was sworn into office in 2023, solidifying a career long committed to working for the good people of Delta State. While speaking during a Thanksgiving service to mark his birthday, the governor assured Deltans that his administration would remain focused on delivering meaningful development and improving the lives of citizens across the state.
Oh, wow! Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Right honorable.
For my governor.
Sheriff.
Right honorable.
He's my
Sheriff.
governor too.
He's your governor.
Yes,
From where
by
to
marriage.
where? Okay, by marriage.
Yes.
All right.
He's my governor
He's your
too.
governor too.
My
Okay.
place of
Let's all
birth.
claim him. Why not? Let's all claim him. Well, from all of us at Arise News, we wish Governor Sheriff Obowori a happy 63rd birthday. Congratulations. Now let's end what's trending with this funny exchange between former President Olusegun Obasanjo and NDC presidential candidate Peter Obi, which went viral over the weekend. Let's take a look.
The emperor, the conqueror, the champion, the lion is here. Zabu, zabu, enyimba,
Clear the road for who sabi. All right, I love that exchange. It was at the birthday celebration of the Odogu himself, the royal Your Majesty,
Alfred
Igwe,
the OB of Onitsha.
the OB of Onitsha at this point. At this moment, I'd love to thank you all for your very great analysis on this edition of What's Trending. Hope you guys have a great day. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. Here we have Game Changer by Flavor. Enjoy, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Achaluko dike